of the missing lifeguard in three, two, one, go. Oh, Robert, we gotta find that old Animorphs '90s show and watch it. That's got
Does it count for the channel?
I mean, you saw those pictures. That's a horror show.
Oh yeah.
That's got one of the Ashmore brothers in it. I don't remember which one. I'd like to reread those, but there's 54 of the fucking things. Because they were only like, if they were 200 pages, I'd be shocked.
I don't like that. I don't like that line. Like,
I don't like it.
Mike's my first boyfriend, and Max is like, ex-boyfriend. I decided that you were ending that. So,
Well, to be fair, okay. So to be fair, she's just enforcing what 11 decided. However, 11 should have the agency to go, that was a heat of the moment thing. I'm not really like, not those exact words, but show a little doubt. Instead, she just absorbs whatever the closest person to her is thinking or doing.
Yep. And again, I'm a little torn on this subplot because 11 fooling around and using her powers irresponsibly is kind of treated as a good thing. Like she's kind of rewarded for it, and I don't love that. It doesn't feel like she's learned much since that whole episode with her sister.
No, she absolutely hasn't. However, there is the consequence of they find that's how they find out about Billy. But it also feels like, well, that's the only way we could try to get the kids involved.
Like I said, if the breakup subplot ends at the end of this episode, it's easier to deal with. Like, okay, that was just a little, just kids being kids, silly thing. But because it's a streaming show, we have to wait till the finale for everybody's little arc to be wrapped up. So we have to push back that to the very
This is where they lose any sympathy for me. Mike is clearly upset. He's just processing it the only way a 13-year-old boy can. But 11 is relaying it like he's bad mouthing them on, like, I don't want to say it. She's kind of villainizing him in the way she's describing these things.
Yep. And again, to be fair, like, they are laughing about it. Like, they never go too hard with the angst. It is played very light, so it's not, like, too miserable to watch.
Toma, hello there.
Hello.
Yeah, that's what you get for barging into a room. I mean, Jesus.
I mean, he is drunk.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
I just don't believe that he wouldn't do that sober, too. And admittedly, I have a different bias because my dad kind of just let me do whatever. My mom was a little more stricter, but I don't know. I feel like by 13, I had some leeway. We haven't gotten there yet, no, but
yeah,
we're only on episode 3.
Yeah, but we have watched the show before. This is not a blind reaction.
I have, in fact, seen Stranger Things.
Oh my god.
That's how the show should end. Steve just like in a telling somebody the story. He's like, so as you can see, I've been a part of Stranger Things.
I'd be willing to bet $5 at that. Some character, maybe not Steve, a character will say Stranger Things in a sentence in that final season, probably in the finale. That will happen. What are we? Some kind of Stranger Things? Something like that.
What are we, some kind of Stranger Things squad?
Oh my god, it's Christine.
I'm shocked they haven't done a Christine episode.
Yeah, Ash vs. Evil Dead already did it.
That's true. That episode's great. R.I.P.
It
the
is.
Delta. So as of right now, Robert, our cabin commentary on Cabin Fever is winning by one vote.
Oh, okay.
I was really worried because I checked it this morning and it was tied. I was like, "Fuck."
And that one I haven't swayed. I didn't vote on either, so I haven't even looked at it. So
But it is
this
not streaming, which might be a problem.
God damn it. You're gonna make me spend $5 on Cabin Fever.
$5. What?
I changed my mind.
Guys,
Guys, sway the vote. Make me not have to watch Cabin Fever on Sunday. Vote for
it is
Resident Evil 2.
$4. It's $3.99.
And like I said, there actually is kind of a consequence here because Billy sees her, which alerts the Mind Flayer. Like,
Teddy, wait. Will just goes, wait, am I the stranger thing?
they better do
I
that.
That will be the best season if that specific moment happens. Or Will goes, just feel like a stranger thing. I'm honestly kind of bummed that Sadie Sink hasn't gotten a lot of work outside this, at least not that I am aware of. I know she was in that The Whale, but I have like no interest in that.
Yeah, I'll watch The Whale at some point. I love Brendan Fraser. And I did really enjoy her in that Fear Street trilogy for her part. That's
Oh,
like
I
kind of the
keep
main
forgetting
thing
she
she's
thought she
done.
was in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, she's in
But
my favorite one, which is the second one.
I mean, I think she
Shocking, I know.
really. Oh yeah, well, I like that one a lot too. But no, she really kind of blew up with season 4. I think where everyone, myself included, was like, "Oh shit, she's a really good actress." Uh, but she's also tied up with this show, so I'm fascinated to see what the careers of these kids looks like. 5 years from now, like
Okay,
who gets all the movies,
as
who does
somebody
more
who lives
TV.
in Indiana, you do not mow your grass while it's raining
Why not?
because it gets the grass stuck in the blades.
Yeah, that guy doesn't know that. You don't know his story.
Teddy says, out of the
He
kid
probably just moved
actors,
it.
Sadie Sink is the best. Ooh, I don't
I
know.
mean,
Maybe
I think it's fair to say Finn was like just the most naturally talented, like at a very young age.
he's the most
Um,
marketable.
he is the most marketable. Again, I think he's great. He's great in the It movies, but we've also seen him kind of cast as the same character over and over again, which isn't his fault. But what does he do when he's free of Stranger Things and like I,
Uh,
I don't
he'll do
know.
the spin-off Normal Things. So
think
this is where Will loses some sympathy from me. I understand I've been in that position, but at some point you're just being annoying about
Yeah. No, but he is, which again is fine. Characters can be flawed.
it. Yeah.
And where we go with that at the end of this episode, I think is really good.
No, it's good writing. It's just
And then
like,
it's dropped.
okay, Will, now you're kind of annoying me.
Yeah, like he is partially in the wrong, and I think that is
Because
by design.
if I was like preoccupied with something and my best friend showed up in purple robes and loud music, I would be telling him to get the fuck out.
Oh, that's every Tuesday for us. Come on.
Yeah, and you just won't go away.
But this is the type of subplot with Joyce and Hopper where I feel like on paper I should be more annoyed by it. If it was any other actors, I'd probably be more annoyed by it. But again, they play it for comedy. We're not taking it too seriously. I'm entertained.
My only issue, and this is just me being me, is the start of this is too Spider-Man 2 Smallville
It
Oh,
is
this
because
character ditches this other character because magnets. This other character is going to
yeah.
throw a hissy fit about it. Nobody's going to communicate like an adult.
No, and that's throughout this whole show. His character's just not communicating well. Here, it's just lighter, and we're not so serious about it. Where I can have fun with it at least. And I think his response is funny. And he has a point. Like, you stood me up with this teacher.
He's right here, which is shocking, but he is.
and but I like that with all their bickering this season, it never gets to a mean place. It never they never hurt each other's feelings that much. I was talking about that earlier. Where like these characters love each other, they've known each other for decades. You know, like the yelling is not, oh, you people are awful and toxic. It's more of a playful, it's a different type of yelling. Like we've all known friends or couples that yell like this who aren't like awful. It's just like, it's what they do.
Teddy, the guy that plays Will, is weird because I think he was really good in two, but his acting almost seems to get worse. He just gets less like meaty stuff to do.
Yeah,
Teddy, I
well,
think
he
I
gets
like
a lot.
Hopper and Joyce's arc in this season. It's been fun out, but it gets old, which is why we needed Murray to snap them out of it. Yeah, I like where
Yeah,
they end up. It's just it's so clunky to get that going, and I'm just
yeah.
10 years of Smallville and Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man 3. I'm sick of this. They're acting like teenagers.
They are. But again, I'm enjoying the performances, so kind of whatever about it. And like I said, this is Hopper at his most cartoony. He yells a lot more. He's a bit more, but like that's how a lot of the characters are this season. But I can at least enjoy the performance. And this is why it's at least funny to me because like she's not offended. Like she doesn't take anything he says too personally. She's just kind of ignoring. She's like, whatever. I'm focused on this thing.
She's
Come
acting like
with
an
me.
adult. Um, is it mean to say that I think Millie Bobby Brown might be the worst of the kid actors on this? Like, I don't know how much of a career she has outside of Netflix.
I mean, like, I think she's fine. Like, she's serviceable. You know, like season one, she had some really, heavy stuff she had to pull off, and she did. But she hasn't really grown as an actress. Past it again, I think she's fine.
She's been doing the same shtick for 10 years.
Mhm.
She looks really sad and puts her hand up.
Yep. No, I did like that little exchange with Max. They're talking about screams, and Max is like, "I'll just let you borrow one of my mom's Cosmos." We don't need to talk about that right now.
Ay, caramba.
And again, this is the investigation stuff that's fun. Like, oh no, my older brother might be a serial killer. It happens.
Hmm. forgot Sadie Sink was a stage actress. I'm curious to see what that looks like.
Oh, cool.
She played Annie for 2 years. It looks like
Oh, damn. I didn't know that. That's cool.
on Broadway.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's only so many roles for redheads, man.
Yeah, they keep taking them from us. It's not fair.
This is what will get clipped out out of context. This is all that you ever
I'm
say that
just
matters.
saying, Sadie Sink would have been a perfect MJ.
She would. She's also like, if you're talking about the Tom Holland movies, like the timing just doesn't
The
work. She's just
timing
too
is
young.
wrong, but it's
She's
something.
my top. She's my top pick for Jean Grey. When we finally reboot the X-Men for the
Yeah,
MCU, she'd be my Jean Grey, because I want them to go like teenage, young adult for them again. And keep in mind, she's like in her 20s now, and this probably won't happen for like 5 years. So, you know, like
no, she would be
I
fine.
think she'd be a really good Jean Grey.
And that's kind of why I wish Zendaya's character was just either an original character or like
Just Michelle. Yeah.
or just Michelle. Then you could bring in Mary Jane Watson. The
Yeah.
whole
Well,
Michelle Jones, her actual name is Mary Jane, is so awkward and like
I thought where we were going with that was Mary Jane was going to be her stage name, and that they'd actually do kind of a transformation with her, and then we just never evolve her as a character or do anything interesting. But Teddy just said that he'd agree with me that the Joyce and Hopper stuff also doesn't bother him, just because it's always bickering, but it never crosses a line. Like, they never
no, like
really hurt each other's
I'm not.
feelings.
I'm
So
complaining about it just because I'm sick of it, but like it's probably the best of that I've seen.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And look, it's Erica, your favorite, one of the most entitled child characters I've ever seen in anything. Yeah, and I agree, Teddy. There's other examples I've seen like this where it seems like characters hate each other. It should not be together. Joyce and Hopper never fall into that. It's they're, at the end of the day, clearly always have and always will love each other. And I'm glad that in season 4 we're at least finally past all that. Whatever happened to
He's
standards?
just like a grumpy old man at this point. That's why he's relatable because I am also a grumpy old man.
Robin.
And something that I never thought about just because it's subtle writing, but I was just kind of taking it in. Dustin never learns Robin's secret, so he's still kind of pushing for Steve and Robin in season 4. I was like, oh,
Yeah,
you
funny.
poor child.
Yeah, and again, we've seen so many shows fuck this up where Steve and Robin hate each other, and then at the very end they're gonna go, "Oh my god, I actually like this person." Like, they subvert it. They don't do that, and even their bickering is never too intense or weird. It's just, it's playful.
Yeah. Erica is okay in small doses, but man, does she get annoying when she's one of the main characters. Yeah, exactly.
I agree. And it's really funny though, seeing Dustin give Steve relationship advice from a summer fling.
Their chemistry is just put them together in every season. Just do it.
Yep. No, this is the best Will stuff this season, where it's that awkward just growing up kid thing where
He's
you'll have the
trying,
kid
man.
and the girl. Yeah, like the one who's trying, who wants things to be the way they used to be, and the other kids are, Mike and Lucas, they're kind of outgrowing the Dungeons and Dragons thing, and oh god, it's painful to watch, but it's very real.
Yeah.
And again, I agree with you that Will is flawed. Like he is a little annoying here. This isn't the way you should be going about it, but you get where he's coming from. And Mike and Lucas, they're also just not factoring in enough that, oh yeah, Will's lost like the last 2 years of his childhood being in the upside down and then dealing with the PTSD of that. Like he hasn't had the luxury of being just a normal kid last couple years, and that's something they're not really considering, which again is believable. It's not a problem. This is just very natural, you know, coming of age drama stuff. And I like that we don't draw this out. Like Mike does apologize. It's just, not the right moment for me or for him, but he's trying to apologize here where he's like, oh God, I fucked up. But I think this is Will's best scene of the season. This is really good stuff.
That comment has aged really poorly in retrospect.
Mhm. No, and I think that's great. It's very believable when he says it's not our fault you don't like girls. Like he doesn't. He's not intending it to be hurtful. It's just like, oh fuck, like
No, it
that's
is
kind of the
that
worst thing he could have said.
kind of consistent thing is Mike loses all brain cells when somebody insults 11.
Yeah. No, I love this scene, and then the Mind Flayer plot kicks in, and we never really get a follow through on it because we're always distracted by that.
Pretty much.
And again, as much as I enjoy this season, it is that modern mini-series streaming mentality of, well, we can't have mini arcs that are resolved episode to episode. We can't let episodes stand on their own. No. This has to build and resolve everything in the finale. And then there's
Betty,
stuff we won't have time to resolve, but it's fine.
well, I'm sorry. Mike, I forgive you, but not now. My neck is feeling very upside downy.
That'll be in the first trailer for season 5. That'll be the big trailer moment.
Also, I want to give them kudos for the Day of the Dead thing because that actually came out the summer of 1985.
Yeah, those are the details they usually pay attention to. Like I said, this isn't a show that's ever gone for complete authenticity, but it's the 80s has always been more of just a backdrop. It's an aesthetic choice more than anything. But in terms of music, movies, they do pay attention to those details. Because this is also, of course, the summer that Back to the Future comes out, and we get
Which
the
I
Back to the
just
Future
learned
tag in
came
the
out
finale.
2 days after Day of the Dead. That's insane.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. I wonder which movie did better.
Oh, oh my
Oh my
God! It's
god,
Hill House.
it's Hill House. Don't go in there.
Betty season 5. They see Will holding his neck and just start panicking. Will says, "Guys, relax. I just slept weird." No, no. He'll say,
Yeah,
"Guys,
and they
stranger things are coming." You know, if we're going to reinvent the Upside Down, can we also reinvent the black void that Eleven stands in when she mind travels or
Nope.
whatever?
At least they're consistent with it. Oh no.
11 screaming in a scene. It really is Stranger Things.
It's episode 3. It's about time we got one of those scenes. Shit just got real.
We have to go back. That's
And I like
they
that.
slapped a blue filter over
Yeah, I. It feels like the season has done a lot of day for night stuff.
it. It's not even night, day for night here. It's just that's the only way they could think
Yeah,
to establish. Oh, it's raining.
it's raining,
I hate to
and
tell
like
you,
so,
but in Indiana, it can be raining and still be sunny.
that's a lie. But and again, this is the stuff that tracks for me, where died less than a year ago. Like, yeah, Joyce was dealing with that. It
No,
makes
I like where Joyce is at. I just Hopper needs to evolve,
yeah. No, I agree, but
and it's kind of embarrassing that it takes him being kidnapped by Russians to get there.
yeah, that's just the kick in the ass he needed. But and again, this stuff just track though, where he's ready to start a relationship, and he's been in his mind been waiting a while, and she's not ready yet, and I think that tracks okay. Oh my god. Evil Russian. That's what's weird about this season. It's like both making fun of 80s evil Russian tropes, and it's also just doing them.
I mean, I have that with Deadpool. Is it's making fun of all these tropes in superhero movies, but it's also
It's
doing
also
the
doing
tropes.
it. Yeah.
Opera, dude, I literally was a prisoner in a Russian prison camp. If you're telling me a song will fix this, I'm gonna have a conniption.
And oh my god, they're gonna shoot the video Axel was watching in Friday the 13th Part 4. That's my head canon.
I would respect the fuck out of the season if they all started dancing like Crispin Glover in Friday 4.
No,
Look at
I'm talking.
Steve's face.
I'm talking about the weird aerobics workout video.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I would respect
Yeah.
the fuck out of this if all those people in that aerobic class just started doing the Crispin Glover dance.
I mean, everyone should do the Crispin Glover dance. Then everyone would get along. What's your name? Lynx. Bill Lynx. Do you think this code is way too easy for them to crack?
Uh, it strives. It's that balance, right? Because if it was a realistic code, these three aren't cracking it.
Yeah, but it's fun.
It takes them enough time.
Hmm. No, this is the subplot that is properly paced.
Oh, what's a grouping you want in five that hasn't been done yet?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Every
Uh,
combination that I could think of has been done to some degree. I
uh,
so here's the thing. This is the fifth season. I don't want new pairings. I want them to go back to pairings that work or didn't get a chance to work. Like
but we also want everybody back together,
at some
which is
point,
what they said they're
yes.
doing. Yeah.
But like, there's those screenshots that like Steve, Nancy, and Jonathan are going to be working together. I'm really excited for that. I don't think
Mhm,
those three have been on screen together since season two
mhm.
for any meaningful time. Like they're here together, three, but they don't talk to each other at the end there.
But for me personally, though, Hopper and Steve is a pairing we've like never seen. That I like to see those
Oh,
two
that would be
characters
good.
interact more. So that's my answer.
My kind of headcanon with Steve is that at some point he becomes like the Hawkins sheriff. Like I'd like to see them go that route. Like he stays in Hawkins. Yeah, yes, Jonathan, you should know this by now. You didn't meet her just yesterday. I mean, I also think Nancy's gonna be confused by that because they don't meet up. Jonathan doesn't meet with like the core cast until the end of season four.
Yeah, that's an element I'm ready for us getting past, which is said they wanted to. Which in season four, we're in literally 4 or 5 different locations
That shit
with different
has to be
mini groups, and
expensive to film.
yeah, I am fine with everybody being back at
Netflix was
Hawkins for
probably
the
like,
final
you
season.
cannot do this again.
And is this the last time we go back to the lab, not counting flashbacks?
Yes, I feel like that's true.
I kind of like it though, because again, the town feels consistent. Like this building didn't just disappear; like it's still present, and now it's just empty and decaying. It's a little detail I like. But this is a good, finally, like calm, serious Hopper scene. And this is a dilemma I like, where he knows that Joyce wants to leave Hawkins, and he really wants her to stay, which is why he's kind of pushing to get a relationship started, which she's not ready for. And he knows, like, oh fuck it, like if she leaves, like then this is probably never gonna happen. So
Eddie,
this
Jonathan
dilemma
was
works in
just
his
a
favor.
ride in season four. Yeah, I mean he's just
Yep.
there, which is fine. They should be writing out some of these people as like the show progresses, because then you end
Yep.
up with the season four problem where they have 600 main characters. It's just weird when you basically give up on one of them. Yeah, and this is kind of whiplash just because this season has been so high energy and he's been coked out of his mind. Not
Yeah.
literally, but
But no, it's a good, calm Hopper moment.
the older, because normally in shows like this, the older people don't really have any kind of relationships that build or dynamics
Mhm.
to flush out. They're just there.
Yeah, and I said back when we were talking about season one, that's I think a big factor in why this was a phenomenon as it was, is that it's that rare show where everybody gets equal screen time. This is not a kids show where there's adult side characters that serve that story. Like they're all feeding you together. There's the kids subplot, the teenagers, and the adults, and they're all part of the same show that feed into each other. One does not take priority over the other, which is something that's so rare. Like Harry Potter, is primarily about the kids. We always see the adults through the kids' eyes. This balances
And
everybody, which is extremely rare for this type
and
of
it's
fiction.
funny you mentioned as well. We were talking earlier about characters that like the fiction tells us like each other, but it seems like they kind of hate each other. I love that with
Mhm.
Ron and Hermione a lot in both the books and the movies. I don't buy that
Mhm.
those two people tolerate each other. Not without Harry there.
That's true.
Remember season two?
Mhm. No, I do like this scene. His little breakdown here. It's good stuff, and then the plot's gonna show up. If we never get to
You know,
discuss or explore it further.
you know what I can say about Will in this season over season four. Will he
Hmm.
doesn't have that stupid haircut?
Yeah, his haircut still sucks, but it's not the worst thing ever yet.
Nope. And then at least season five, Will not have the worst haircut in the show because that goes to
Thank
Lucas.
yeah. Well, it's period accurate. It's fine. That's at least a specific choice. Yeah, it's part of the era. It's part of the aesthetic. Will way too old to be having that haircut, and there's no excuse for it.
Teddy says the best relationship in this series is definitely Henry and the spiders. Well, Henry's Vecna. What spiders?
He's talking about a kid in season four. I am struggling.
Henry is Vecna before he becomes Vecna, that kid in the flashbacks. I
Okay.
think. I haven't went
Well,
back
he's
to
not a
season
kid.
four.
He's a yeah, but he's like an orderly. He's
Yeah. But you see him as a kid in flashbacks.
that's true. Oh yeah, that's right. Okay. Yeah, I think you're right.
No, because I remember that show made a big
Yeah,
deal that they
serial
cast
killer.
what's
Yeah.
that guy's name? Jamie Bowers or whatever. It
Mhm.
was like, oh, he's flashback. That I don't think adds up to the first season.
No, really cool though that he actually plays him and does the makeup and everything. That did surprise me.
Yeah.
Like that is him changing his voice.
Yeah, Teddy Vecna, he loved spiders.
Yeah, this is the last season I could wing for this because seasons one through three I've all seen at least three times each. Four I've only seen once. I have to rewatch that before we do the commentaries. I
I
can't
think
just jump into that one.
I think I've seen four twice.
I've seen the first few episodes twice. Most of that season I've only seen once.
Yeah, you know what? Maybe I don't know if I've watched that finale twice because
I
this
don't
should
think
be
I
on
have.
Letterboxd. It is a movie. And I will say, season five, Will has a good haircut, so they give the bad haircut to Lucas. So at least they're consistent. It's perfectly balanced, as all things should be. Robert, let's take a 5 minute break after this one just to stretch.
Yeah, that's cool. Aw, they're holding hands.
Do you think the writers intended for them to be together?
I mean, I do know. I don't know if you know this. So, like the big Robin speech at the end of this season, that was a very 50-50
Yeah,
thing for them while they were writing, where they're like, okay,
I
we're
know
either
that
going to
comes
go this route
later.
or this route. Yeah. So for these first few episodes, they are like actually considering it.
Yeah,
Uh,
Teddy, look, I like four, but damn, it's so freaking long. Yeah, we're
it
gonna have
is.
to split up.
We will. I think we'll split up, and honestly, we'll probably split it up over like a week or two, not 2 nights in a row like we did with season two. We might have some space in between, but I think we'll do them as they were released. I think we'll do the first 7 episodes and then the last two. And I know that sounds like a lot, but the last two is really more like 4 episodes.
That'd be about
the
equal runtime.
first, yeah, the first seven I think we can manage as one stream. Oh my
Yeah,
god, it's Ivan Drago.
it's Ivan Ooze. Teddy, I like Vecna mostly because I have a weird love for illusion-based villains like Scarecrow and Mysterio. I like him
Oh,
because he's the first villain that like is a villain. If that makes sense, like
he was what we thought the Mind Flayer was gonna be,
yeah,
and then they kind of changed what the Mind Flayer is, and then tie it
he's
in.
the first
And
legitimate
eh,
like antagonist. The others are just like
yeah,
forces of nature.
or like some of the scientist guys in season one. But I remember resisting it. I was like, okay, I see what they're doing. This is gonna be their Freddy Krueger or their Wishmaster, or this will be their Pinhead for the show. Okay, but to their credit, it's not just a 1 season thing. Like that is they've decided what they're gonna carry to the end of the show. As like, no, this is the big bad. This is not just a one-off 1 season
I cannot look at
villain.
this scene the same as since I saw the bloopers either. Because they have a scene where they open the door and they start breaking out into an "I'm ketchup and mustard" song, and I can't unsee it because they're wearing ketchup and mustard colors. I've seen debate over that. You know, some people prefer the force of nature rather than mind flayer, and that's valid. Like I like both, but I prefer a bad guy that can have
Yeah.
presence and talk. And
I mean, I like both. That's also really hard to sustain for a 5 season show. By season four, you need, like you said, need somebody to kind of have some real action. And like this season, you get that through Billy. Because Billy is so good. And he plays evil, creepy so well where we know, like, no, this is not the real Billy. He has been fully taken over at this point. His acting choices here are so specific and often just the right way. Oh my god, it's Heather. She's fine. His acting is so good, it makes me almost sad we ended the storyline at the end of the season just
I
because
I
he's so
kind of
good to
wish
watch.
he'd lived, but that would have just compounded the problem that they already have.
Yeah. Hey, at least this was a 2 season character, like it broke formula a little bit. And Vecna, I think where I was won over on Vecna was he's actually scary. Like season 4 is the darkest, like most fucked up season. Like
What he does to
he
people is horrifying.
he messes up some people real bad.
I still say like Max, she should have died.
I don't agree, but that's a conversation for later. It's a problem throughout this whole show. It's a problem with this season of doing a big death and then not committing to it. It's not an
But it's
isolated incident.
worse
It's a recurring
when
issue.
you turn your character into a Deus Ex Machina. Because now I don't believe that anybody will die because apparently she can just resurrect them.
I still think you're overthinking. Like she jump starts her heart. That's all it is. Like
Okay,
she's
so why
left for
can't she do
dead.
that to anyone else?
Well, it depends on the situation. But we'll get there when we get there. It's
Why
for me. It depends on how season 5 handles
why
it.
didn't
Because
she do that for Billy?
well, because Billy was stabbed and he was dead like that. He wasn't coming back from that.
That doesn't matter. She's a two sex machina. She can do whatever.
He was hit in the heart. Like his heart was fucked up.
Fix it.
No, with Max, what they're doing is like, no, she is brain dead, and Vecna has her soul, and a big
Yeah,
part of season
I'm
5,
glad
sure,
we
is being
saved her
trying
to be brain dead.
So, it just depends on how they tell the story, and if that, because I guess we're having this conversation now. If they bring her back and she's blind, that would be an actual physical consequence to then deal with, and more evolution for that character to explore.
Hey, remember the awkward dinner scene from season 2?
This isn't as awkward as that. They're having a good time. Oh my god. She had too much wine.
Why did they only drug one of them?
Yeah. You gotta mix it up. Gotta have fun with it. This is such a fucked up scenario. My, this here Anakin guy. Maybe Vader someday later.
Stop
Now
it.
he's just a small fry. He left his home and kissed his mommy goodbye. Saying
All right,
soon
if
I'm
you're
gonna be a
watching,
Jedi.
shut the fuck up.
What? I'm providing commentary.
If you're watching after the fact, thank you very much for watching. As always, you consider hitting the thumbs up and subscribe button. We'll see you guys on the